I've just discovered your music, which is, I just love it. Your latest album is amazing. So that's why I thought, see if I could get you on the program. And thank you for your courtesy, and thank you for allowing us to do that.
Oh, sure. I'm honored and and humbled by that. Thank you.
Well, look, it's an interesting story. So let's start at the start. We're told you grew up on a small farm in Frederick County in Maryland, and you first got into music when you started playing violin in fourth grade. Now, question first up, did you see it as a violin or a fiddle?
Well, I wanted to play the fiddle because my dad had a friend who had a band, and I was real young and went to see this band play somewhere. I can't even remember, but I just remember staring and watching that fiddle player. So that's what I wanted to learn. And when they started offering instrument classes at school, I said, I want to play the fiddle. And they said, well, we could teach you to play the violin.
What's the difference? What is the difference between playing the violin and the fiddle? I mean, what is involved to make it different?
Whether you're playing classical music or you're playing country music.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty simple.
There is a stylistic difference.
Yes. That was a stupid question. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I said, what the hell am I asking that for?
No.
And the fiddle is so much country music. And you know what I love? I love the fact that there's a lot of people like yourself, other artists, who are not afraid these days, 2022, of getting fiddle and steel guitars in country music. It's almost there's a period of time where people are going, no, we've got to get rid of the fiddle and steel guitar. To me, it is country music when I hear those instruments.
I agree 100%. I don't think you can have country music without fiddle and steel.
Absolutely. Now, of course, you worked as a disc jockey in your college days. I'm in radio, so I just love it. How come you never got the bug to keep going as a disc jockey?
Well, I was doing it while I was a student at college, so it was the college radio station, but my degree was in sociology, actually.
Right.
So I got a job doing that. I had always worked with computers. So actually, when I got my first job in sociology, about a year into it, somebody came at the local health department and said, we hear you're good at computers. And I asked how much it paid. And they told me, I said, oh, I'll take that.
Right.
It pays a lot better.
And of course, you started your own business, Digital Age Solutions. So, it's kind of a 180 away from country music, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It was a lot of people who have known me as the IT guy
right.
were very surprised to find out that I have this whole other life.
That's right. Well, you gave this up. I mean, you were certainly dreaming of a life going to Nashville and becoming a singer-songwriter. You put all that on hold really to get married, I guess, to raise a family as well.
Yeah, I knew people who were pursuing the music career and saw how much of a toll it takes on relationships, marriages, time with children, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be there with my wife and kids. I don't regret that at all. It's been wonderful to be here with them.
But it did put that dream on hold, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It really did. It was a choice that I had to make.
Yes. Now, an interesting story comes up with when COVID hit. Now, your wife, who's a nurse, she worked at a local hospital and COVID unit, so to speak. And, well, I mean, COVID took a toll on everybody, and particularly in those early days, because even here in Australia, we had a lot of people who were suffering mental health problems. They were suffering all sorts of things because this thing was something we'd never cope with before. Your wife didn't cope with it very well at all in the beginning, did she?
Well, no, because everyone was scared of what it was, and frankly, we were unprepared with not having enough supplies and not having enough preparation for something like this. So we didn't know how deadly it was. We didn't know how contagious it was. And then they were literally using like plastic sheet protectors for pieces of paper as face shields because they didn't have the supplies they needed at the hospital. So she was afraid to get it and then bring it home and spread it to us.
Yes, and of course you had to isolate away from Emily in a guest house during that.
Yeah.
Now, this is how beautifully the universe works, because there you are isolated, and as I hear it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you then went through a box of old love letters from your wife that she wrote to you encouraging you to go to Nashville. That must have been a real trip down memory lane when you started opening those letters up.
It really was, because I had forgotten all about them. I opened this box, and in the box was this little safe that I used to have as a kid. And I as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, I've forgotten all about this. And I couldn't believe I remembered the combination to the lock. And I opened it up, and there were all these letters that we had written to each other back and forth all through high school. And I picked up that letter and read it, and it said, I know you'll be a country music singer, and you're going to take me on tour with you. And
wow.
That was it.
That must have brought back a flood of memories for a career that you were going on, but then you were diverted to, and you'd love to do it, but you were diverted to raise a family. That must have, the memories must have come flooding back at that stage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought of things from back then that I hadn't thought about in decades. You know, playing fiddle with this guy, Drew Hart, that was trying to make his way to Nashville back then. And at the time when I started with him, I wasn't even 18, so I wasn't even allowed in the bars. It was a great experience, and I'd just forgotten all about it with time.
But that was then the impetus for you to start writing again. You've come up with this latest album called Better Late Than Never, and the title says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Because the next song that I released after the COVID flu was Hurt Again. And that song I started to write in college. And it was done, but I just never liked the ending of it. And after the great response to the COVID flu, I sat here and fixed the end of the Hurt Again, and I played it. And again, my daughter said from the other room, she said, "Dad, who sang that song?" And I said, "No one's ever sang that song but me." And she said, "But I've heard it." And I said, "Yeah, only here. No one else has ever heard it." And she said, that's just great. And she has a twin brother, and he said, "That's my favorite song. You should do that."
Oh, wow.
So I just kept writing, and then at one point I came up with the song Better Late Than Never, which really is autobiographical. And I couldn't think of a better title to the album than that story.
That long and winding road sure made me hesitate. A shortcut seemed so tempting, I'd be sure not to be late. For those journeys I'd be missing, in the end it's worth the wait. 'Cause it's better late than never for my dreams to be saved. I always dreamed of Nashville, on stage with my guitar. Life has never seemed to match my dream shows, life over chasing a star.
We are chatting with Mike Custer on Makin and Eggs this morning, all the way from Maryland in the United States. Mike, when you finished this album as a performer, how did you feel? Was it kind of like unfinished business?
Yes, absolutely. And each step of the way in producing this album has been so fulfilling, and just, it feels like something I should have been doing all along, and I wish I would have done. And to hear, other musicians take what I've written, especially studio musicians who play better than I, playing my music and then putting it all together and having Dr. Ford produce the album, and it sounds like something that you hear on the radio, and I could have only dreamt of that in the past. So.
It sounds like real country music.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not just me plucking a guitar.
Exactly. No, we absolutely love it, and listener response has been wonderful too. So it's fabulous, and you, great. Yeah, and you obviously use the best musos because the instrumentation on this album is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. These guys are great. Like Mike Cleveland plays the fiddle and mandolin with us. He's an award-winning musician. He's legendary. And Chris Condon plays the guitars with me, and he plays for Billy Ray Cyrus. He has his house is a studio, so he's constantly making music in Nashville. Smith Curry, who's playing the pedal steel and the dobro, he plays with everybody. If Dolly Parton, Randy Travis, you name them, he's there playing with those people on their albums. So it was just amazing to have them playing my music. Just little old me from Maryland.
Oh, look, I think you undersell yourself a little bit, Mike. I just think, as soon as I heard your music, I went, wow, I've got to have him on the radio. Because sometimes you'll listen to songs and you go, yeah, that's okay. But your songs hit me straight away. I just went, these are a class act.
Oh, thank you very much. That means the world to me. Thank you.
Well, Mike, it's true. And we're talking with Mike Custer this morning. He's in Maryland in the USA, which is fairly close to Washington, around that sort of area. Now, you live in a small community, really, because I think it's around about population 5,800, which is less than half of our population here, although we have our population grow with tourists coming into quite a large amount. But you do other things apart from country music as well. You're multi-talented. You volunteer a lot. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, I grew up in the 4-H program, which I think you all have 4-H or something similar to it, but it's the largest youth organization in the United States, but it's rooted a lot in agriculture. So I just grew up in the program and give back to it. I used to work as a 4-H agent, and when I left there, I just continued volunteering as a club leader. I'm on the camp center board of directors, so we make sure that there's a place for the kids to go camping and have fun in the woods and learn about nature. I also volunteer with my town, which is a very small town. We're close by to a larger city, but we're a very agrarian society here.
And you serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the town of Walkersville?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so we're responsible for planning how the town will grow, which it is growing quickly.
You'll continue to make music. What's your aim over the next maybe 5 years, half a decade? What do you want to do? Continue on doing your country music?
Yes, we're ramping up. We've started the second album already.
Good.
I've got 9 songs written for that, and we did guitar tracks yesterday for 2 of them, and we laid tracks for the first one about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that album, I hope, will be done by the end of the year, and I just hope people listen to it, stream the album, buy the CD, and invite me to come out and perform for them, because I'd love to do that.
That is terrific. Hey, listen, I've got the name for your last album, the very last album when you're sort of taking the boots off, put the guitar in the case, and you're finished. I've got the name for your final album.
Okay.
Custer's Last Stand.
That's great. I've considered naming the band the Last Stand Band.
Oh, that is a great name. Now, of course, Custer, General Custer, his name was a C, not a K.
Yes, but he is a cousin, distantly.
Hello.
When the Germans moved over here, a lot of them got their name anglicized. So my family came over with William Penn when they settled Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. That's a great history.
So they've been here since the late 1600s. So there's a lot of Custers, and some of them spell it with a C, some with a K, but my line goes all the way back, K's all the way to Germany.
Wow. Well, Mike Custer, it has been just a pleasure to talk with you this morning here on our breakfast program, Makin and Eggs. Look, I think you deserve national and, in fact, international attention with your work, and we closely watch your work, and we look forward to that album, the next album you do. I haven't finished with this album yet, but we really welcome new material from you, and we'll keep an eye on you from way over here down under.
That's great. I really appreciate it. I love the support from Australia, and I thank you so much, Paul, for having me on.
Well, would you say hello to your lovely wife and your children and wish them the best from us?
I absolutely will. Thank you.
Stay safe.
You too. Take care.
Never in my life's trouble, I got worries on my mind. Ain't no better medicine than three things to get me by. Country music, whiskey, one good friend. Mix those three together, my soul be on mend.